Hey Megan, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. All right.
Sweet, sweet. So, what brings you in?
Yeah, and just feeling really overwhelmed between trying to balance school and work and family life and social life.
Can you tell me a little bit more about you saying you're overwhelmed? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I'm in a grad school program at George Fox for counseling. So what you're doing, and just a lot of work and studying and reading, and we're in the paper writing season now is what I like to call it. Yeah, and then I work full time. I work 35 to 40 hours a week. So just
Wow,
trying to balance that, making sure I'm having time for school. It's getting really overwhelming and stressful, but
that is a lot of hours. That is a
yeah.
lot of hours. Wow, I commend you for even you know going for that kind of those kind of goals. Altogether, it's a very difficult thing, yet very noteworthy. Very noble of you to do that. So yeah, so
Thanks.
you're saying you're doing school, you're working.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you're doing in the meantime, or?
Uh, Unfortunately not. I mean, there's really no time between that. Trying to have a social life here and there, but the
Yeah.
days that I do have time, I want to sleep. So
Yeah.
it's hard, but I mean,
So it sounds
trying.
like um, school and work and the demands that go with that. And how does that make you feel? I want to kind of know how you feel about all of that.
Yeah. Um, that's a good question. Haven't slowed down to think about that. Um, just really overwhelming, I guess. It's really stressful. I feel like I'm always on the go, 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 and if I stop, then it's going to stop, and
Yeah.
just won't be able to continue. So I just have to keep on going. So
Gotcha. So, um, you feel, as you've said, you feel overwhelmed. There's that sense of stress that comes with all of the things that you're supposed to be doing. You say in school you got papers and all that stuff, and then with work you've got certain demands that go with work, and all of that seems stressful. Yet at the same time, it seems like you are uh, there's a sense of enjoyment, maybe, if I'm not wrong in saying that.
yeah.
There's something motivating you to keep on going,
Mhm.
or else with all the stress, it would seem like you'd just stop. There'd be no reason to, right? So,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I'm really hoping after the counseling program, I really want to go work in Nepal. It's a passion of
Okay.
mine. I love the people over there and
Hmm.
just want to work with the orphans and children that have been in the child trafficking industry over there, and then same with the women in the sex trafficking. I'm going to be building a women's home and a children's home over there, so really want to get going on that.
Wow.
Fortunately, it requires a lot of schooling,
Yeah.
but I really want to be able to help people over there and make an impact over there, and so
That's amazing.
thank you.
That's very amazing. I most people, a lot of the people that I've worked with, they don't, I wouldn't say not all of them, but most of them, they come in with certain goals and dreams and stuff, but the dreams that you've had, and that are propelling you to continue working are very noble, very they're grand, and but they're doable, and it seems like nothing's going to stop you from attaining those goals. And for that, just want to say that's awesome.
Thank
It's very
you.
awesome. Yeah. So let's I kind of want to understand certain aspects of your current life, if you will, right now. And so I'll just kind of dabble and touch on each one. So you said school and work are very important and very relevant to your life right now. Could you kind of talk a little bit more about school? You mentioned some papers and whatnot, but can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so right now we're just writing a lot of papers and starting in on that. And so, like, I wrote a personal integration paper, and so talked about like how I see myself as a therapist, what I want to integrate into my own little practice, and what suits me, what doesn't. Talked about my background in it. That was hard to write in a paper.
Sure.
Don't like talking about it, right? especially when you have to try to fill 10 pages. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What curious, what year are you right
Yeah,
now in
I'm
your
just in my first year. This is my
Okay.
first semester, so
Okay.
yeah, took
Nice.
about a year off of school though, so just trying to get back in the swing of things. So,
So it sounds like you're in a transition right now. You graduated from undergrad, and then it took a year off, and then from there you're starting. This is your first year in the counseling program. What school are you?
George
George Fox. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and so it just sounds like you are going through a transitional process, but you seem to be enjoying that. Is that, am I right in saying that?
yeah, for the most part.
For the most part?
Yeah, I mean, of course, school, stress comes with it. You don't enjoy stress, but
Yeah,
enjoy
definitely.
where it'll take you. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. You did say briefly about how you're trying to figure out who you want to be, I guess, in terms of a counselor. You said you're trying to figure out like what to keep, what to not keep. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
yeah, I don't know, still learning about different theories and things and how I want to go about counseling, but just really want to be an open ear, basically.
Okay.
People, so.
Cool. That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about your work situation. I don't think you mentioned where you work. Would you like to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, I work at a winery.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a great place. Started about 2 months ago, so brand new. Learning all there is to learn about wine. So that's another overwhelming thing. There's just so much to learn and so little time, I feel like. And now that I'm in school and working and learning from two different things, I feel like I'm in school for two different things right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's a really fun job with great people. I have a nice support system there, so
Nice. So you work at a winery, and it seems like you said you enjoy it. Something that's great. Is there any way I could get a discount? If, no?
Maybe.
Maybe. But yeah, that's great. And how long have you been working there?
Yeah, only about 2 months now.
2 months.
So
And how's that transition been?
it's been good. So my previous job I was at for 6 years, so it was nice because it was just really easy. I knew how to do it. I was a manager there, so I really knew what I was doing, and I was able to help people along. And now I'm on the flip side of that, the one being trained. So it's really hard, but at the same time, because I caught on really quickly with like computer stuff, I was able to help train some of the new people too, even though I was still learning at the same time. So just a lot of responsibility got put on me.
So you said a lot of responsibility got put on you. Okay. But you also said you enjoy that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's awesome. And so you said just kind of taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture here. You've got your work, you've got school, juggling between those two things, and tell me a little bit more about what else you do. You said you didn't have much time for anything. What are those other things, I guess?
Just building relationships here. It's a new place, so just making friends, but actually the ones that I am starting to make, just trying to make time for them and actually show that I do care and value a friendship. I just don't have time, so I feel bad. And then maintaining my family relationship, and it's the farthest I've been from my family in a while, and so just trying to maintain that and make time for them is a lot harder than I thought, because at least before I was able to just go home and see them for dinner and then go back to studying, where now I actually have to take time out of my day to call them. And
that sounds like a difficult time. Where, I don't think I asked you this, where are you from originally?
Originally California, but my family is all in Montana now. So
Okay, so that's quite a ways out of state.
Yeah.
So when you say, you make time to see them, you're not seeing them physically. It's more of a calling or maybe Skype or some
Yeah,
video call,
FaceTiming.
FaceTiming. And how has that been like, compared to, I guess, when you were living with them?
Yeah, it's different. I feel like we have to make appointments now with each other. Hardest one is on my niece and nephew and I, actually. So
That's the hardest one
it's,
to
yeah,
schedule.
to stay connected with, just because they're so busy and I'm so busy, and they have a curfew where my
Yeah.
sisters and my brother-in-law and my parents don't have a curfew. So
Huh.
it's just been hard on them. And I just got a message from my niece saying how much she wishes I was there. And before it was, oh, I can just come over right now and spend
Yeah.
time with you. And now it's like, well, it'll be 12 hours, but I actually can't. So.
Oh, shoot. So it just sounds like you've had, to make extra time for them, the time that you've had to make the effort that you've had to invest into your relationship with your family and your, niece and nephews is it's a lot, it's a lot harder to do so. It's You're more aware of it because it takes more of your energy and more of your time to do that. You have to have more of an effort for it. Um, but yeah, yeah. Is there anything else
Yeah,
you'd like to talk about, or?
it's just with that family, I've just been feeling bad for having to make a conscious effort when I had to do that before. So.
You said you feel bad about making the effort.
About having to be conscious about
Or
it,
having to be
and
conscious about
when they want me to have their full attention, I can't, and I
Yeah.
usually don't have their full attention. So just because I'm thinking about, well, I have to do this for school, well, I need to get sleep so I can function at work tomorrow, or oh shoot, I forgot to do this at work, and but now I have to go read 500 pages for class, that's tomorrow, or
Oh man.
yeah.
So it it sounds like you have your school and your work, and to kind of paint a picture, you put those all in like one little box that you have to hold on to. Then you have time for your family and friends and other loved ones, whether they're here or out of state, and you're trying to figure out how to balance your time between both of those. From what I hear, school and work are things that you definitely need to take time to go through, and to work on. And then family, though, at the same time, it seems like it's a bit more flexible, but at the same time, you still need that. And is there any sense of any feelings that kind of arise in this struggle that you have, or whatnot?
Yeah, I guess I just feel bad because I want my family to know that I value them, but I feel like I haven't been able to actually show them that right now, because school right now is going to get me to my end goal, and work right now is helping support me going to school. So those two I have to do to be able to reach an end goal of what I'm passionate about and want to do. And my family is very supportive and encouraging of that. But I just feel like because of those two take precedence, I'm kind of putting my family on the back burner. And so I feel horrible for doing it, but it's just something that I'm going to have to, I guess, learn to deal with for now. And
It's very understandable. A lot of my clients have gone through very similar transitions. Some have dealt with that in terms of their family still being here, and they still struggle with that, let alone being out of state. Some even across country. And I just want to let you know that it's a very normal transition. Not to downplay it by any means. It's a tough one, but just let you know there are other people who go through that too. Seems like you're handling it well, though. So
good. Well, thanks.
So you have that family that you want to invest in, and friends and whatnot, and you it doesn't sound like you undervalue them at all. You still want to invest in them more and more, but it seems like you're at an impasse. You can't do that. You can't sustain that level of investment because you have something that is a stepping stone to what you want to be, and you can't. You have to spend a lot of time, a lot of your effort and energy in that area where, school and work, and you need that. You just need that in order to get to the goal that you want. And you said your family is very supportive. They seem to understand that situation. And
I think so. They were excited when I left for college. Take that as you will. No, they were excited for my new journey, but they always are like, well, when are you coming back? When do you get to come home? Are you sure you don't want to stay in state for school? So.
And those are things that they said to you as you were thinking about college. Was that for undergraduate or for graduate?
For both, but mostly graduate. Undergraduate was kind of a given. We all decided to move to Montana, so.
Okay. Where did you go to school for your undergraduate career?
I went to Montana State University, so wanted to be close to my niece and nephew as they were growing up and build that relationship.
So it sounds like your niece and nephew originally lived in Montana?
My niece was born in Northern California, but moved when she was like 15, 16 months old,
so pretty much to Montana. And is the parent your sister or brother?
My sister.
Your sister?
Yeah.
Okay, and then, so they all moved to that area, and then everyone else in your family lived in California. And so when you went to Montana, did everyone in your family move to Montana with you?
Just not one sister, so I only have two sisters. One of them stayed in San Diego. And then the rest of us moved up to Montana.
Okay. All right. So it seems like your family, they're very close-knit, and they're enough to be willing to move across a couple states to live just for the sake of you, and then your sister moving up there as well. So it sounds like your family's very close-knit, very, very tight, and willing to sacrifice too. So. That's great. That is great. And so with that said, now you're moving to Oregon, and for whatever reason they're staying in Montana, and have you ever asked your family how that feels for them?
No, not really.
Not really. No.
Yeah. No, I think there's mixed emotions with it. I mean, I've lived over near them for my whole life, and after 25 years, like, I'm not as close to them anymore, so it's sad, but they're happy for the direction I'm going in, I believe, so.
That's good. Sweet. That's awesome. Is there anything else?
I don't know. Just thinking about more how my parents feel about it and my family. I never really asked them how they would feel about me moving. I know my dad was always concerned about me, but I was a baby, so.
Does he kind of still treat you like that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah, but he treats all of us girls like his baby, so.
No.
He always has concerns for us, so.
It sounds like, your family, as close as they are very understanding of transitions, and are willing, to sacrifice the lack of your presence, on a consistent basis. I mean, you still FaceTime and whatnot, but it's definitely not the same compared to actually living there. But
I guess we've had to learn over the years. My dad got divorced with my two sisters. My two sisters are my half sisters. It was bad divorce from what I've heard. Still hostile feelings. So that whole transition. And then my sister is adopting my mom as their stepmom.
Okay.
And then learning to deal with me in the mix of all of that.
Wow.
I guess was interesting. My sister actually moved out of the house when she was about 17 before she graduated high school because she just didn't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
But,
Huh.
yeah. So we just had to learn how to go through transitions, but we ended up being a close-knit family after all of that.
So it sounds like earlier in your family's history there was a divorce present in that. But what that, in a sense taught you guys was that, it helped you guys become more adaptable to situations. It doesn't seem like it's driven you or driven your family apart, really. You said there was some sense of hostility, but it's not so much that it's devastating to your family dynamic, from what I can tell.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah.
Definitely had to go through therapy sessions.
Yeah,
So,
understandable.
but
Understandable.
yeah.
Well, your family seems very, very adaptable, very, I was saying close knit, very understanding of each other. And even though hard times may hit, you guys can bounce back. Very resilient, from what I hear, from what you've told me, and that's a quality a lot of families don't have. So, and some, even some kids have wished their parents would be like that. And so, the fact that you guys, even though there's trouble and there's difficulty at times, you guys are very, very close knit and very resilient. So, it's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, in all of this, if I were to just summarize, you have, right now it's your first year at George Fox doing the counseling program here, and you've got that. You've got, you're thinking about who you're going to be as a counselor in the next. I don't know, how long is it going to take for you to complete the program?
About 3 years.
About 3 years. So you're thinking in the next few years, how you're going to be shaped into the counselor you want to be, and how that's going to translate into your goals. You said you wanted to go to Nepal, and you wanted to open up what kind of school again? What was that?
Children's home and a women's home. Actually.
Women's home. Okay. Yeah. And you wanted to do all these things, and you're thinking about those things, and at the same time, though. You've got other things you're juggling. You've got your work at the winery, where in and of itself it sounds like that was its own little school, in terms of how you had to learn a ton of things, just like that. And it's only been a couple months, if I'm not correct. If I'm correct. And so with that, it's kind of like your first year at the winery. And you just have to juggle that, and then on top of all of that, you've got you have your family on your mind too, but because of all of the schoolwork and all of the demands from your job at the winery, it seems like it's hard for you to really make good quality time to find good quality time for your family, and that transition has been also difficult. So it sounds like you have a few transitions going on that's compiled into like one massive transition that is you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just if you were to provide one sentence, how would that make you feel? I mean, not how does it make you feel? How does that transition in these last I don't know, it's been maybe some months, how's that made you feel?
Yeah. It's made me feel really excited, but just really stressed when I try to live in the present, but super excited for where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's not just one emotion. It's not just one feeling that you have about all of this, which is very understandable. It's a crazy time to be a person. A crazy point in your life. A lot of change, but a lot of good change. And like you said, you're excited. You're excited about who you're gonna be. Excited about the newness, I would imagine, of being a graduate student, of moving to another state, and starting a new job, all of that. There's it seems like you like all of these things,
Yeah.
but it's just not easy to do those things. So there's that sense of you're excited for it, but at the same time there's stress. Would you say frustration would come up at all, or is that pushing it, or no?
No. Yeah, frustration.
Yeah.
Frustration, especially when they all start colliding together and demanding me at the same time.
Yeah, life has a way of doing that.
Yeah.
Everything's just due on the same week for some reason,
Yes.
right? That's a
Yes.
struggle. Yeah, I can attest to that too. But yeah, it's an interesting time, and overall, it sounds like you have a very positive outlook on all of it. There's the stress, and it doesn't sound like you're too surprised by all of it. But at the same time, stress is stress, and it takes a toll on you. One of my last questions before we close would be, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to do, first of all, anything to kind of give yourself some me time, as difficult as it may sound, and if so, how are you doing that?
Actually, haven't been. Just feel like there's not enough time for me right now. So my me time is providing for myself and going through school. That's my me time. So
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah. Very understandable. I just, one thing that you should look forward to, or a question that you could ask yourself as you go through these things, is when you should just look for pockets of time where you could say, okay, I can take this time and read a book. That's like leisure, or other things. There are tons of other things, but just looking for that what can get you relaxed, and don't say sleeping. Sleeping does not count. Something to unwind, because it's very important that you're doing what you're doing. This transition is very great, but you need to have that, and in a way, kind of think of it as something that you need for your goals. There's no there's no point if you're gonna burn out. And then that's something to just think about as you continue on. And but overall, very great. Your parents should be very proud of you, and I'm sure they are. So
Thank
it's
you.
very great. Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about what you can do to kind of relax at times, to kind of recharge. Besides sleeping doesn't count. So yeah, definitely.
All right.
Sweet.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.